Hello, everybody. Wanted to give you some notes on this week's readings. These are important for two reasons. One, they will form the basis of the quiz for this week. And also, more importantly, they kind of inform the way that we will approach Major Writing Assignment 3 down the road. As you can see, we have two chapters this week, a tiny section of chapter 7 and an excerpt also from chapter 11. I'm going to cover chapter 7 in these notes. You can access that Bedford Book of Genres in our Readings and Other Essential Resources tab in content, as I'm sure you know. The chapter 7 is about different academic genres. It begins with a little rundown of what we mean when we talk about academic writing, which very simply is any kind of writing that we're going to do in an academic setting, right? So what we're doing for major writing assignment number 3 would fall under that very general umbrella, obviously, as well. I want to focus, though, on the next little subsection that begins on the next page on 118. This one is about researched arguments. And that is what we will be doing for major writing assignment number 3. You will be presenting an argument or taking a stance on an issue, trying to persuade your reader to see it in the way that you see it. And doing that in a researched argument assignment. The things that you see here in this bulleted list are the things that I'll be asking you to do as we move through. We've already started some of this stuff, like we've been doing research. We've already started investigating our topic. These are the things, though, that we'll want to make sure that we're adept at by the time that we turn in major writing assignment number 3. Let's talk a little bit about the rhetorical situation for what we're writing here. Our purpose here is going to be to persuade. This is often called persuasive writing. Essentially, we want to persuade our readers to share our point of view on the topic. We might be asking them to do something. We might want to frame our thesis statement as a call to action, like imploring that the reader do something. Or we might just be arguing for or taking a stance on the way that we think is the best way to look at an issue. So there's a subtle difference there, and that will affect what kind of thesis statement we have. But regardless of which one of those approaches we take, our general purpose here is going to be to persuade readers to see things the way that we do when it comes to our topics. Now, de facto, I am your audience because I'm the one who'll be reading this. But you also have another de facto audience of your peers in our classroom. We'll be sharing elements of these papers through the discussion posts and peer reviews and things like that. So you're writing very much for an academic audience of students much like yourself, other scholars who have studied the topic that you are presenting on. We're going to want to think very clearly and closely about what kinds of rhetorical appeals that we're making. And this section here is about how authors can establish ethos. Now, we have looked at how the authors of the sources that we've chosen have established credibility or established ethos. Those two terms are, as you know, more or less interchangeable. And we've looked at how other writers have done that, and now it's time to start applying that to our own writing. And so we'll need to think about how we can establish ethos. This is one will be a graded element when I grade major writing assignment number 3. And writers of academic arguments can establish ethos when they do these things, when they describe their research methods. We'll be doing that both in our discussion posts and in some of the written work itself. We're going to want to explain what kind of data we've collected and how we've analyzed it. Just the way that we discuss the findings from our research in conclusions in detail, and the way we cite our sources and things like that. I want to add something to this bulleted list here. Another thing that I think can go a long way toward establishing ethos is making it clear that we have thought about and engaged with the other side of the argument, or people with different perspectives. Even if we ultimately disagree, if we have thoughtfully, calmly engaged with other points of view, that I think can go a long way toward establishing ethos, as well as part of what you see in the rest of the bulleted items there. We want to think about how to establish logos. And that's just how we're logically building our arguments. That's basically reasoning. We need to state our positions very clearly here. We want to anticipate and address any objections. That goes hand in hand with what I said here earlier about thoughtfully engaging with other points of view. If we're able to do that, if we're able to anticipate what people who might disagree with us have said, or will say, or will think, or how they will respond to our arguments, that can go a long way toward being persuasive. We'll be looking at, we'll be writing in a multimodal modality here, meaning that the primary argument will be text based. You'll be writing what more or less amounts to a research paper, but we're going to also be adding visuals and or audiovisual elements as well, making our arguments multimodal. These elements of the genre here, the thing to know about these up front is just kind of what they are. These will be things that we'll be working on in various assignments leading up to major writing assignment number 3. So for the right now, I'll let you look at those, um, and sort of make of those what you can, and we'll be working on those as we draft separate elements of major writing assignment number 3 coming up in the future. The rest of the stuff here that I wanted to, we'll talk about design and things like that later in the semester. Uh, for right now, we're kind of focusing on the sources. We're trying to find good quality sources of information on all different sorts of perspectives on our topic, and that will help us both make the argument that we're ultimately going to make, but also in as we draft toward major writing assignment number 3, it will also help us think about what kind of topic we want to zero in on. Most of us have a very general topic in mind, and now is the time to start thinking about how to really zero in on an angle or a way to approach this. That's something that I'll also be addressing with y'all individually as I do the feedback when I grade major writing assignment number 2. So that covers more or less what we see in chapter 7. As always, if y'all have any questions, please let me know.